I'm joined now by William Lee. He's the chief economist at the Milken Institute. William, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first I want to get your reaction about this decision by USTR. What is the motivation or the reasoning behind the exclusions on some of these products, and what is it meant to accomplish?
Well, this is the first step in a process, and I think the review of the tariff situation has been going on since the beginning of the Biden administration. And the purpose of the tariff program actually is to get the two sides, both China and the U.S., to develop a trade framework that's appropriate for the 21st century trade between the largest economies in the world. And right now, we don't have that. And we have a piecemeal arrangement that is left over from WTO and other trade arrangements. But the purpose of moving forward, and part of the purpose of getting rid of the tariffs on some goods is to say we need a framework that will work for both sides.
So is this a negotiating tactic then, as we heard China is asking for more, or is it a step forward toward lowering the temperature in the overall relationship?
I hope it's the latter. I hope in fact, I'm sure that Trade Ambassador Tsai has been working very hard to try to reshape the trade arrangements in a way that would benefit both sides, because the whole purpose of trade is that both sides win. And right now, with tariffs in place and the charges the U.S. made against China for not having the proper legal framework and intellectual property protection, and really to live up to its promises in the trade phase 1 and phase 2 to import more U.S. products, those are terms that have to be negotiated, and that's the purpose of lowering the tariffs on some of these goods, is to start that discussion.
Yeah, a lot of people in the business community hoped that there would be more movement here, especially since President Biden took over. So where does the trade relationship stand right now between these two countries, and how much of a priority is it right now, given what's happening in Ukraine? We still have the pandemic and the domestic economies in both of these countries.
Well, there's no question that the trade between the U.S. and China is one of the highest priority items in the administration. This administration and the Trump administration, all U.S. administrations have always felt it's key to have the proper trade framework, because the globalization of the economies in the world means that we need to trade with each other. Right now, with all the other things that are going on in the world, we see the impact of oil shortages and higher prices for agricultural goods, foods, and also the supply chain being so broken that almost all manufacturing around the world has almost come to a standstill. The trade has to resume, and the best way to resume trade is to negotiate a framework that is working for the largest economies in the world. And once that is in place, everybody else can fall in line.
So tell us what we can expect to see in the months ahead. I mean, are we going to see some progress in a front-facing way, or is this going to be more behind the scenes to get this going?
I think the real negotiations will be behind the scenes, but what we'll see, it would be a lot of relief on both sides. I think with COVID battering the Chinese economy and all the shutdowns, the global supply chain remains completely broken. And I think efforts will be made to patch those portions of the supply chain first, and to try to spur trade that will allow the economies of the world to start to benefit from the Chinese exports.
All right, we'll bring you back to talk about that as soon as it happens. William Lee, always great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.